The single leg hip lift is it's a very simple exercise on the surface, but when you really understand what you're supposed to be thinking about, it's actually a pretty difficult exercise to execute properly. And so what I'm going to do is show you how to get the most out of this exercise. This exercise is really good because it's the first step in learning how to use your hips to power lower body movement rather than using your lower back. And for a lot of people, they got a really tough time differentiating between the hips extending and lower back flexing. So most people kind of, lean back to come up out of a lower body exercise, a squat or deadlift or whatever the case may be. When really what you want to be doing is sliding those hips forward and locking them out under you. So there's a big difference between doing that and doing that. Huge difference. So this exercise is what's going to really help you kind of start to learn what we're looking for with that. So what you're going to do is lie down on the floor and get yourself set. You want one leg straight, the other leg down on the ground. There's a couple ways to find your foot position that I recommend. You can either raise your leg up, get a 90-degree angle with your thigh in the floor there, and a 90-degree angle with your shin bone and thigh there, and just bring your leg down. Or you can just kind of make sure that your ankle bone's kind of lined up with your knee joint. That's a good foot position for you. So just want to make sure you're not too far out, not too far in. It'll change the training effect. So again, get yourself set right about there. Now this is the exercise right here. Bring yourself up with one leg and coming back down. Now, what you really want to do is emphasize, you've got to find your glute, turn it on before you come up off the ground, squeeze your butt cheek, and then squeeze it harder to bring yourself up, and then come back down nice and steady. Now, what you want to do is make sure that your hip and your heel of that leg come off the ground at the same time, and then come back down and touch the ground at the same time. That's telling you that you're keeping this straight, you're not lumbar flexing. If you feel your hips come up off the ground first and your heel stays behind, that means you're just trying to use your lower back. You got to keep that nice and strong. And you also want to think, as you're coming up, it's not raising this leg. You're not raising this leg up. What you're doing is raising your hips up off the ground, and this leg is just coming along for the ride. So you have to get your focus on here, not on just raising that leg. Otherwise, it's just going to look something like that. And last but not least, you want to make sure that as you come up, you keep your hips square. You don't want to be letting them round. And as you come up to the top, lock that hip out. You have to go beyond, like a lot of people that do this kind of stop right here. You have to get that squeeze from the glute and lock that hip out. Now I will say, you don't want to feel lower back pain doing this. So do not just come up high, higher than what you can do without causing pain. So if you start to come up and you start to feel your lower back start to tighten up or whatever right here, that's fine. Come back down and just work on getting stronger in the range of motion that you have, and eventually you'll be able to come all the way up and lock it out. So that's how you start out with the single leg hip lift. That's basically level 1 for the single leg hip lift. Now, the way that you advance this exercise is to simply put something under your foot to raise it up off the ground. You want to find something that will allow you to come up in 2-inch increments. This is a piece of 2x12 that we use here for various reasons. So all you do is get yourself set. You execute the exercise exactly the same. You just have your foot raised a little higher, so you're just increasing the range of motion, and then back down. So again, hips are square, coming up, hips lock out, come back down, heel and butt coming off, touching at the same time. So and then you just raise it higher. So level 2 is raising your foot 2 inches. Level 3 is raising it 4 inches. Level 4 is raising it 6 inches. Don't really recommend going a lot higher than that. Just kind of getting beyond a normal range of motion, what you usually really need. So anyway, so that's the single leg hip lift. Again, just really working on keeping that core tight, so you're not letting that back bend, and using that glute to bring yourself up. You're focusing on the hips. You're bringing those hips up off the ground, not raising the leg up off the ground. And if you do it and you concentrate on those things and really perfect them and advance this exercise, you're going to find that lower back pain is going to be reduced. If you're an athlete, you're going to start running faster and jumping higher, simply because you're going to understand how to use that hip better and not use that lower back. So anyways, that's how you execute and advance single leg hip lift.